truncated weeks that you would in a regular semester.
Absolutely. The content is no different. The same content is covered in a 16-week as in an 8 or even a 5-week term. It's just compressed, it's heightened, it's a little more I don't know, impactful in terms of the expectations of the students on the students, but you also don't have to focus on other classes at the same time. And that's what we'll talk about with the focused classes in the main semester. Instead of taking 5 16-week classes, you can take 2 classes in an 8-week term and 2 classes in the second 8-week term, and maybe 1 class that goes through the entire 16. So it's a different approach that allows students to concentrate their efforts in a different way, and the research shows that students are more successful in 5 and 8-week classes than they are in 16-week classes. That's our research at COC, but it's also national research that shows that.
I bet that works really well for people who are working.
Absolutely.
People who are employed, maybe returning students. I know I went back to COC after retiring, and I was able to take some classes. So it seems like it works out really well for them.
Yeah, and that's really been the focus. We really have moved to, in the fall and spring terms, a focus on more 8-week classes, particularly at our Canyon Country campus. And we'll talk about that a little bit, I hope. So we're finding that students are attracted to those classes. They are usually in a hybrid format. So they could be 50% online, 50% in person. And so that also provides more flexibility for working adults and for millennial students and our new students who want that flexibility as well.
Very convenient.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the more compressed the classes, it seems that they have better information retention, which I would have thought the opposite, but I can see the burnout if you're in there for 16 weeks, but in the same token.
Yeah.
If I have a 16-week class, I'm not even going to start listening until week 4. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think what we're finding in the research is because you only have to focus your energies on 1 or 2 classes at a time, the ability to retain that information and understand the information, particularly because you have more contact with your professors in that short-term period as opposed to, 50 minutes over the course of a week every day. Now you've got them in your sights and at your disposal as a student much more commonly, much more often. So I think that has something to do with that retention as well.
What's the average number of amount of students you can have in a class? If some are online, it seems like you could maybe have more.
Oh, that's a great question. And actually, when I talk about 50%, we're talking about the amount of instruction. So the class as a whole is fully online for 50%, and then there are classes scheduled in which all those enrolled would come into the classroom at the same time. The typical classroom usually about 35 students. Yeah.
All right, so we'll probably have to have you back at some point in time. Why don't you tell people how they can get more information on these classes?
Absolutely. Yeah, the best way is just to Google College of the Canyons or www.canyons.edu, and that's going to take you directly to the homepage with all of this information and much more.
Well, it always amazes me the amount of classes that COC has, the diversity of the classes themselves. Different type of classes you can take, and it's a lot more than just a community college. People really need to check it out. So again, thanks for being with us today. Always appreciate the time from COC. Paul Wickline from COC, you're the VP of Instruction, and we'll talk more about the focus classes next time you come back.
Absolutely.
Sounds great.
All right, great, thanks.